All right, guys, it is May 5th, 2023. So the weekend is upon us, and I wanted to touch base with you before we really get into it, and I'll probably be out of pocket for the rest of the weekend. So I just had something on my mind, and I wanted to share it with you. Something I've been thinking about a lot, not just over the past couple of days, but over the past couple of years, because there are certain ways that I have about me that are probably never going to change, and they're neither good. It's neither good nor bad. But I know there's got to be a lot of people out there that are just like me, that are very goal-driven. So I think that this will speak to you. It could be that I'm speaking to the choir, but just keep in mind that when I'm talking about this out loud, and this is all off the cuff, none of this is rehearsed. I really don't even know exactly what I'm going to say and what order I'm going to say it in. But keep in mind that I may just be speaking for myself, but chances are there's a lot of people out there that are just like me. So if you're very goal-driven and you understand the frustration of being that kind of person, then you might want to hear what I think I want to say. Hopefully I get everything out the way I want to say it. I haven't taken the time to write it out because I just want this to come out in such an organic way that sometimes I just get tired of trying to polish up everything. You know what I mean? You can plan so much, and I have learned that planning so much oftentimes holds me back. So that's why I'm coming to you with no criteria sitting in front of me, no punch list, and I'm just speaking from the heart. If this ends up being something that resonates with you, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Let me know how. And give me your pointers, because you maybe have learned something that I haven't thought of yet, and I could benefit by it. And maybe other people who are reading the comments and watching this video could too. Now, being goal-oriented, when I say that, I understand there's a spectrum for that. So lots of people have goals. Most of us do. We're taught to have goals. We're taught that that's how things happen. But there's all degrees, all different degrees and all different shades of what that looks like and how that's carried out. With me, I'll have to say that I feel like it's kind of extreme. You know what I mean? I feel like maybe I take things too far. And I've been that way my entire life. As far back as I can remember. My parents were very goal-driven. Thank goodness they were, because they taught me how to set goals. They set a good example, and it's been very good. I'd rather have that taught to me than have no direction at all whatsoever as to how I'm going to accomplish any given thing. Okay? So I'm very thankful for that. And my mother is still around, and she's still that way at, well, she just had a birthday recently. I don't want to tell you how old she is, because I don't know if she would approve of that. She probably doesn't care. But she's in her 70s, and she's in her 70s, and she's still going gangbusters. And she's had some health problems, but that has not held her back whatsoever. I want to be like that. But that could actually hold somebody back if you're not careful. And I think she's been pretty careful. So here's what I've got to say. So growing up, I've always set goals, high goals way bigger than what I could probably achieve. And when you're young, you tend to do that if you're goal-driven at all. You tend to over-devote yourself to things. And thankfully, as I've gotten older, I've learned how to pull back and restrain myself. But it's been hard. And to be absolutely honest, I'm still not that good at it. And I'm learning. There's a plane flying overhead, so you'll probably hear that. Okay, so, I remember as a kid, I'd read my Bible a lot, or I remember reading, I would make myself, I used to think that my parents made me do this, but I'm beginning to think maybe I made myself do it. I'd read 10 chapters a day as a small kid, okay? And whenever I've said this to my mother or my father, and it's been a long time since I've had that conversation. They probably don't even remember me asking them this, but I remember asking them, do you remember when you used to make us read 10 chapters a day? And they're like, no. Even my dad was like, I would have never done that. So I'm thinking maybe I just put that on myself and I'm just blaming them. But I've always had goals like that. I've had goals, exercising. I've always exercised. I've always had very unrealistic expectations where that's concerned. When it comes to learning a skill, taking on a challenge, I make a game plan, and I just have this formula in my head about how everything has to work. Do you relate to that? Do you understand what I'm talking about? See, the thing about people like me and you and whoever else is listening to this, if you understand it all, is that we break everything down into a plan, and every plan has to have a formula. But the frustration sets in when you begin to realize you can't accomplish everything that you want to. And I think everybody understands that regardless of where they find themselves on that spectrum. Because after all, how many people have you heard about setting New Year's having New Year's resolutions, and they say they're going to go to the gym, and then their goals are too lofty for themselves, and then they quit. They quit like 2 weeks, or maybe even a week into it. And then there's all sorts of videos made about how you can, or how you need to plan something out for yourself that's actually attainable. But I have found that I'm not good at that because I always just expect too much. As an adult, when I got back into piano playing, and I was playing, well, in fact, not even as an adult, as a late teen. You can ask my mother this, and it drove her crazy. But I would play for 6 hours a day because I wanted to be a professional pianist. 6 hours a day. And it was just, I didn't realize at the time, I guess I didn't realize how insensitive I was to the people who lived in the house. It's one thing to play, it's another thing to learn how to play things well. You know what I mean? I mean, there's anybody who's I've never played trumpet, but that would be the bane of my existence if I had a child who was learning how to play the trumpet. It's not like you listen to them play overtures very well all day. They're constantly in the stage of learning, which is almost unbearable to put up with. So those of us who have lofty goals oftentimes subject other people to excruciating living circumstances, and we don't realize it. We don't realize it. And then on top of that, we just frustrate ourselves because we find out that even we can't live up to our expectations. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one. So what I've realized is that no matter how strong you think you are or how ambitious you might be, it's also easy to slip up. So what you do is you let a day go by. You find out you can't do what it is you had planned. You can't act according to the formula. You can't knock out the punch list that you have. And so then you say, well, screw it. I just won't do it today. I won't do it at all. And it's really hard to even say that because if you're like me, you're an all or nothing kind of person. And so what happens is one little slip leads into complete oblivion. It's really easy from there to just completely give up. I know that sounds really strange. You might say, well, apparently your heart wasn't really in it to begin with, if that's the case. Well, that's not true at all. But there's something within us when we have such high expectations of ourselves. The minute we get a chance to rest, the minute we give ourselves permission to not do something, we shut down. And that's so, for me personally, that's so dangerous. Here's what I've learned. Here's what I've learned through all the different things I've done. When I say I've learned this, it's only been over the past year or so. And here I am going on 53. It seems a little late in the game, but maybe it's just designed to work out better that way. But here's what I've learned. Instead of slipping up and just giving up on your goals altogether, I think it's best to manage your expectations. It's okay to set high goals. Just understand that you also need to build in the expectation that you're not always going to execute the formula that goes along with the plan. You won't always be able to do it optimally. You see, when we have these goals, we have these plans, and the formulas follow the plans, ideally, when those are carried out, you're always functioning optimally. And you believe that that's how you should always function. But that's just not reality. But you don't believe that. And what you end up doing is when you don't live up to the expectations and you miss a day and you just find out how easy it was to give up, and another day goes by, and maybe another day you say to yourself, I'll make it up. I remember having a conversation with my father when I was young, and I was really attached to this whole reading X amount of chapters of the Bible a day. I was very much into my Bible. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I loved it, but I had very high expectations of myself. I remember asking my dad, maybe I wasn't a kid, maybe I was just a young adult. I said, Dad, I know you have certain goals when you read your Bible or read your books or whatever it is you do, whenever you plan your sermons, whatever it is you do, you have the goals, because I know how my dad is. He has his goals. I said, when you fall short of that, do you try to make it up? Do you make it up? Let's say you have a goal of reading 10 chapters in your Bible, but you only read 5 that day because something cropped up, right? Something always comes up. Do you try to make up that 5 chapters the next day and read 15? He says, no, I don't think you can do that. And I remember thinking, that's incomprehensible. I've always just tried to make things up and continued to fail. And that just continued to feed that failure mindset. And I just kept believing I was failing. And if you keep believing that you're failing, you're just going to give up completely altogether. And then you take on something else because you're so goal-driven. You say, well, maybe that's the ticket, and this will be my new thing. No, you can't make things up. So manage your expectations. Build in failure, or schedule that in somehow. Like, you're going to fail sometimes, but failure doesn't mean that you have to give up. Here's what I found out. Hopefully my line of thought here is computing. Hopefully it is resonating with you. Hopefully it is making sense. Okay? Maybe I'm talking too fast. I feel like I am. If I feel like I stop, I'm just gonna forget everything altogether. What I've learned is this. Have your goals. Know what you want to do. Have a plan. Execute the plan according to your formula. But understand that things are always going to crop up. Always. You may go days and your formula is working out great. You haven't skipped a beat. But it's, something has arisen. Just tell yourself, I just don't have to do as much. I don't have to live up to the plan or the formula all the way. When as an adult, when I got back into piano, I said, I'm going to play 20 pieces a day. I have like scores and scores and scores of pieces that I can play, but I can't play all of them in one day. But I can play through at least 20 a day. That's reasonable to me, I thought, but still really a lofty what I realized after a while is I just can't do that every day. So even if my fingers can hit the keys once a day, I'm okay. I'm okay. If I can only read 1 chapter out of 10, I'm okay. I have a workout program that I do. I do 7 different exercises, 700 reps every day. That consists of pull-ups, chin-ups, dips, push-ups, squats, things like that, okay? I do 700 reps. I can do them all in an hour, and I work out really hard. I do that Monday through Friday. But you know what? Sometimes things crop up. The other morning, I was out working out. My wife opened the door. She's getting ready to go to work. She looked me straight in the eyes. She goes, car won't start. See, that's what I'm talking about. So I go out there. I'll get this problem taken care of. Well, I couldn't get it all taken care of at once, but it interrupted my workout. That would have aggravated me to death. Not really being anybody's fault. I wouldn't have been upset with anybody, but I would have been upset with myself because now I got to make it up somehow at the end of the day. I don't even try to do that anymore. Now I'm just happy if I got to do anything at all whatsoever. And that's okay. You see, the reason why we think it's got to be all or nothing is because we feel like the formula tells us that the only way to succeed is if we carry the plan out all the way through. Even if I had to miss a day, I'm not gonna wither away. I'm not gonna become frail again. I'm not going to lose all my piano skills. I'm not going to forget how to read. I'm not going to forget everything I learned. I had to lower my expectations. Be okay with doing less. Set your goals. Plan ahead. Have a formula, but just be okay with not making it all the way every day. You'll have plenty of days when everything will run smooth as silk. It really will. You'll have plenty of days like that. My wife, it drives her nuts when she sees how she knows I'm very goal oriented, and she doesn't say a lot about it anymore. But she used to tell me, she says, "Don't you ever do anything for fun?" I try to read 50 pages every day, not out of the Bible, but out of these books. You guys know I have reading goals, right? You've seen my videos. So I try to read 50 pages every day. I can't do that every day. And it used to frustrate me. My wife would go, "Don't you just ever do anything for fun?" And my response to her is, setting goals, regardless of how hard they are, and trying to achieve them is fun to me. It gives me purpose. And even if I get frustrated, I still look back and say to myself at the end of the day, look what I did. But I am absolutely disgusted with myself if I haven't done anything at all. So now what I do is I build in the expectation of disappointment and an occasional failure. And I say to myself, I'm okay with that because I don't really fail. If I don't really fail, I don't have to be really disappointed. All I have to do is just a little bit. If something steals so much of my time away that I can't get to some of these things, it's okay. I'm still going to come out ahead because I have the goals to begin with. I have the plans. I have the formulas. But it doesn't mean that I'm really going to be any better off because I hit my goals every day, or that I'm not going to be because I didn't. Today was a good example. I took the day off to be able to be available for my daughter, my oldest daughter who has testing. I had to go drop her off and pick her up. Did I get all the things done I would normally try to get done in a day? No. But you know what the trade-off was? The trade-off was I got to spend more time with her. My youngest daughter, who never really wants to spend time with me, just because that's kind of how kids are. When she was done with her testing today, I said, "Hey, you want to go hang out and do stuff?" She actually said yes. So we went out to eat. We went shopping. I bought her a bunch of stuff. But it was a joy. I was willing to let all that go for this. If I would have been so stuck to my plans and my formulas, I would have missed out. So don't forget that too. Sometimes not being able to meet the criteria that we've laid up for ourselves means that there's something else. There's another open door. Something else might be waiting for us. Pay attention. See what the opportunity is and grab a hold of it, because you might not get it back. Okay. I hope that's meant something to you. I know I've said a lot and I said it kind of fast, but it's been on my mind. It's been on my heart. I hope it's helped you. All right. Make sure you see the description down below if you want to know what I have in my beard today. I'm using Beard Struggle beard oil and beard balm. Look in the links down below. You'll find out who I like to use, and I have discount codes for you down there if you have a beard. If you don't, I guess it doesn't really matter. But anyway, some people ask, some people don't. Guys, I've enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll catch you next week. Be careful, and be wise.